Yeah, if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna wait another like minute or two for some folks to hop on. It looks like they're coming in droves right now, so I just want to give everyone an opportunity, and then we'll get started.
Okay.
I am also going to go ahead and start off with everyone muted, just to make sure that we are being respectful of everyone who has a plan to speak tonight. All right. Alyssa, I'm gonna go ahead and make you the host for now, so you can admit people as they come in if you don't mind. Oh, nope. Alyssa. Oh, that's not good. It just made Heather Bailey the host. Heather Bailey, would you mind making Alyssa the host? You popped onto the screen as I was clicking go.
Hi. Who is it?
Oh, I can reclaim host. We're good. I'm the host again.
Okay, we're good. Thanks.
All right. So Alyssa, you are now the host. If you wouldn't mind, or Eliza, I apologize if I got that wrong. If you wouldn't mind admitting people as they come in, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
So I am Spencer Toder. I am the founder and director of the Be Heard PAC. With some political experience here in Missouri, I have continued to grow, completely disappointed in the lack of an ability for Missourians to have their voices heard, for Americans to have their voices heard. So in that vein, I started a federal super PAC before the election, and we've been doing work consistently since that time. And one of the actions that we're taking are running town halls around Missouri and around the country. This obviously is very close to home for me. I live in District 2. We'll be hosting a District 2 town hall tomorrow. But the biggest thing that I hope everyone has a chance to take out of today is that we deserve to have our voices heard. And there haven't been opportunities for legislators to provide that opportunity because they've chosen not to. And they've abdicated their responsibilities. It's unacceptable for us to live in a world where we can't. Sorry, I was muted. It's unacceptable for us to live in a world where we are not able to speak with our representatives. And right now, more than ever, so many people's lives have been tragically impacted by the very rash and seemingly detrimental actions, not seemingly, the detrimental actions of the Trump-Musk administration. And I think it's incredibly important that we all rise up together and make our voices heard. So this is a series of events that we are taking those efforts. Be Heard PAC, as well as Be Heard Missouri, which launched this week, will be continuing to organize around the state. I'll put some links in the chat for those organizations. We'd love for you to join us on Facebook. So you follow us on Facebook for Be Heard PAC. We're using a service that I built with a software business called Constituent Connection for a mighty network group. And this is a way where we hope that everyone can organize across the state ongoing between people within organizations you're already part of, as well as just you as an individual. And so we're trying to create this large scale organizing structure to make Missouri represent us again. In that vein, I'll put in a link for that as well. And finally, as being part of this, we want to thank our other sponsors, that would be, and partners, that's Indivisible Jefferson City, as well as Be Heard Missouri, which is an organization that you'll hear more about, and I'll tell you a little bit more at the end of this call if that all works well for you. Very pleased with the number of people who registered, and I hope you all have a chance to make your voices heard, to say everything that you want to say. Unfortunately, Bob Onder couldn't make it, but cut out of Bob Onder could. So we'll be sure to zoom on him from time to time and check in to see how he's doing. This one listens just about as well as the other one, seemingly. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bethany Mann. Bethany is running for Congress this time around. She has run for office in the past and is a close friend of mine. Very pleased with seeing the kind of campaign she runs. She's also a community leader in St. Charles. a biotech life science expert, and an incredible mom to 3 kids. I got to be there while she was pregnant and raising and all of those different things on the campaign trail, and just couldn't be more impressed with her as a person. So hopefully we can give everyone an opportunity to speak. So I'm going to introduce Bethany. She'll go over some ground rules for the evening, and we'll kick it off from there.
Hey, everybody. Hey, thank you, Spencer, for organizing. And I want to say thank you to all of the volunteers, Sue, and so many of you, and Lisa. You guys work behind the scenes to make this possible. So I just wanted to say thank you. It is such a pleasure to be here among the 3rd congressional constituents. I firmly believe that Bob Onder loses out when he fails to engage with his voters. One of the things that makes our representative democracy so powerful is we have the power as the people to collectively organize and vote for representatives who reflect our own values and our own priorities. And unfortunately, due to gerrymandering and a whole host of other reasons, we experience difficulty with voter disenfranchisement in the state. And so whether you're in the 2nd or the 3rd, I think Bob actually doesn't even live in the 3rd. I think he's in the 2nd, but we welcome him to this constituency too. I'm just so happy that y'all are here. So just the general format, we do want to give everybody a voice today. If you are on this call, we want you to know that your voice counts. So we're going to ask everyone if you have either a question or a comment to the congressman. We are going to record questions and submit this to his office for his review in hopes that he will engage with us. That is his job. That's his duty, in my opinion. So I have a moderator here. Let's keep it civil. We are peaceful resistors. That does not mean that you shouldn't be honest about your experiences and what you want the congressman to hear. So we do have a moderator. If things get wild and spicy, I'm sure that won't happen. I know we are all very well behaved, right? Well-behaved women never make history. So it'll be exciting to see what happens on this call. Thank you all for your time and being here, speaking up and engaging with your elected representatives. Make our country great. And I am beyond thankful to be with you today. So let's roll. Who's got a question for Congressman Onder?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Hello, my name is Ted Miller, or Theodore Miller. I live in St. Peters, Missouri.
Hi, Ted. Thanks for being here.
These are just some things I would like to comment on to Mr. Onder if he was here and would like to listen, but clearly he is too busy. How do I put this politely? Probably taking money from billionaires to be with us, and that is putting it as nicely as I can possibly get. I would just like to know what motivates him to vote yes on these budget cuts, which will affect Americans greatly so much, and what he will plan to do to help protect LGBTQIA people, because I don't want to say this, but I have loved ones in that community, and I am somewhat afraid for them with the current state of affairs in this state and in this nation. And I would like him to understand that these constituents are voting citizens. These constituents are people like him, and they deserve, the basic protections and civil liberties afforded to them by the Constitution of the United States of America. I would like Senator Onder to reconsider these opinions that he has. That is all I'm going to say. Thank you. I will move to anyone else who may have any other things to interject with my opinions or not.
Thank you so much for your perspective, Ted. And you're absolutely right. LGBTQ Americans are Americans, and we deserve to be championed by our representatives. Thank you for those thoughts. Who's next?
Hi, I have some questions.
Sure.
So as one of the recently fired federal employees from Valentine's Day, I'm curious if Bob Onder has any thoughts about how federal employees are apparently a waste and bloated, considering we've had somewhere about floating 3 million federal employees in the United States since 1970. So these numbers are fairly consistent, and our population is getting bigger, but our federal workforce is not reflecting that. And I can say we've talked about federal employees. People have talked about how they're low productivity, they're bad workers. A lot of people I know are overqualified, not getting paid as much as they would in the private sector. It takes months to get a position, to get onboarded to work here. And I can say for myself, I was getting paid through grants because they're not funding these fields enough. I was in wildlife helping provide services for Missouri and making this place better for hunting and fishing for the future. But we're constantly having to fight for funding. And they talk about cutting the fat when most of these, not just wildlife, but in other fields, are chronically understaffed. So as there is no fat to cut in these areas, you are cutting the meat off of the bone. We are leaving skeletons of these agencies. And I want to know if Bob Onder is worried about that at all, and how that might affect not only the people that are being harmed by losing their livelihoods, who are also taxpayers, but also the people whose services they were benefiting. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment, and thank you for your service. And I'm sorry that you were experiencing this. Please reach out to all of us if you need help finding employment or resources. We're here for you. You don't deserve
Thank you.
to be
I
bullied
have
and intimidated. So
I have one thing that I almost forgot to mention.
Oh, please.
They recently had a court case that said that we were fired improperly and that we should be reinstated. Department of Interior just said that they weren't going to acknowledge that court order. They also claimed that they did review everyone and did deem it due to our performance. I did not have a performance review yet. They had nothing to judge my performance on. Also, the letter that they sent me saying that my terminating my employment did not even have my information correct. So were they reviewing me correctly if my information was not even correct on my letter? So just that little add on there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that testimony. And thank
May I please interject?
Sure. Do you have a question?
Madeline, what is your pronoun? Sorry, I want to make sure I'm addressing you correctly.
I'm kind of not specific on that, but
Then I shall simply say that I believe they are correct
yeah, go ahead.
in this assessment of this, and I believe that we have to wonder what an unelected billionaire has to do with government, who is receiving not only just obscene amount of government contracts, has anything to do with waste, fraud, or management. I would like Senator Onder to consider this as a following point: is that Elon Musk and his cronies, that is the nicest way I can put it, I can't put it in any other flowery language, are essentially frauding and stealing from the American public and American employees of the federal government. And what will Senator Onder do? Will Senator Onder stand with the courts and help get these federal employees back on their jobs with the mandate of the law of elected officials and of officials of the law? I want to know this. This is just a point.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you for those thoughts, Ned. We're going to go on to the next person. Thank you. I saw a hand. Oh, Dewey. Hello, Dewey. You're on mute.
Hello.
There you go. Welcome.
Hi. Sorry, my audio is a little weird. I can't hear you, but if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Hi.
can hear you.
I'm a constituent. I live in Columbia, Missouri. I've been following Bob Onder recently, and I see him fangirling for Elon Musk, posting all these pictures and like fangirling for Matt Walsh and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm getting a sense of where his priorities lie. I don't think that he represents the people that voted for him or the people that didn't vote for him. I think he just represents his wealthy donors. And I think we can just like chalk it up to that, because we know he's in full support of Doge, cutting public goods and services and agencies. But we know that they're not actually looking for fraud or waste or abuse or trying to make it more efficient, right? They're cutting USAID, they're cutting the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they're cutting 80,000 VA workers. They're looking into cutting SNAP. They're looking into cutting Medicaid, because Bob Onder voted for a budget that doesn't there's no way you can like cut $880 billion without touching SNAP or Medicaid. And this man has been vocally supportive all over his social media about reforming Medicaid, and have even gone into the comment sections and has been saying, yes, we need those to go into Medicare as well, like posting an American flag emoji next to it, like ridiculous. So basically, we know what that means. That means they're cutting it. They're not making it more efficient. They're cutting the budget. That means the less these agencies have to work with, the less the American people are going to get, access to the assistance they need, to the healthcare they need, to the infrastructure they need. And I just want to, if I could just, I feel like talking to Bob Onder wouldn't even like do anything, because he's so in this bubble of like of bootlicking Doge and Elon and Trump first off, and spreading propaganda against trans people, basically just scapegoating trans people so that you don't notice that he just voted to cut access to the things that make our lives just like run on a daily basis smoothly, like. And so I don't even know what to say at this point. I feel like I can't ask him anything, because it's not going
I've
to
got a
like
suggestion for you.
just mine. But he represents more. I can't hear you guys, just by the way. So I'm just gonna keep going until I stop. But but he represents not just Republicans, right? He represents now. District 3 is Columbia and Fulton. Those are college towns. Like, he's gonna get pushback for this stuff. But what happens when he gets pushback for it? Even the little town hall that he had, the phone call town hall he had, was like private. You had to get an email. Like, he didn't post it on social media. Even that, like, he's gonna get pushback. And when he did get a little bit of pushback from what sounded like Republican constituents, his first thing he did the next day was talk about basically what Mike Johnson said, that these are paid protesters. They're going in. They're Democrats that are going in there, and like, no, these are real people with real problems, and the things you're voting for are going to actually affect them. I am I'm young, but I am disabled. I rely on Social Security. I have student debt. Like, these things, I'm on SNAP. Like, these things are directly affecting me, and I wouldn't be able to live my life or participate in society without that. Like, and I don't get why these people don't understand that you can't have an economy or just a sustainable system without a working class that can just survive and just like afford to live and have healthcare. Like, I need these people, if they represent wealthy donors, their wealthy donors need to know that they can't just like be in power forever. You need a balanced, sustainable society, and this is not how you do it.
Thank you so much for those thoughts, Dewey. There are so many politicians who will use the LGBTQ community or folks with disabilities just as wedge issues to take away benefits for working Americans. And you've talked about how personal this is an issue for you and how concerned you are about the impact it will have on other folks who need that assistance. And so there shouldn't be tax cuts to Medicaid for bailouts for billionaires. I don't believe that. But thank you for your perspective. Who has something else they want to share with the congressman?
I want to share something. Can you hear me?
Yes, Timothy.
Yes. You
Where
and
are
I have met. You can't see me because I haven't figured out how to turn my camera on. But
That's
the thing
okay.
is, like, I don't know Bob Onder from a hole in the ground. I think I have met him once at a Jefferson City small venue, and he had a debate with a young female, and I wasn't sure what they were going for. I just went in on impulse. She may have been you, I don't know. But I do know that he won. He won because probably because he had more money to advertise himself than you had available. I think you had excellent qualifications because we had at least 5 minutes of small talk at that Dem Club meeting by the lake, out by Centerville. And I think you have the educational background and the attitude to, so we don't have to write another book like Rachel Carlson did, Silent Spring. There's already enough that's silent, like enough people who really would like to have their voices heard, and they vote Republican because their grandfather did, and they think they're voting for Dwight Eisenhower, but they're not. The closest thing we had for Dwight Eisenhower was Barry Goldwater, and he got shut down because he was too up front with it, too honest. I don't know if Bob Onder is not honest or not because I haven't heard anything from him, despite the fact that I wrote a 3-page letter congratulating him and urging him to do the right thing. He will be in the company of people who will want him to go along to get along, and he will be pressured to not do the right thing. And any government bill, spending bill that deprives the lower echelon of our economic system from basic assistance and needs like SNAP or Social Security benefit SSI for delayed or for people with disabilities. That's what it's for. The Congress passed it. We can't have a billionaire who manages to sequentially lie in ways that are just outstanding. He's a marvelous liar. You got to say that about President Trump. He's absolutely fabulous. He could tell you one thing one day, the opposite the next, and he does that from press conference to press conference. And I saw the televised so-called address to the Congress, which is really 90% of the screen time was given to the Republican half, and his two squirrels that hang with him, the Speaker of the House and the Vice President, they would stand up and start applauding every 30 seconds. And they did, then they'd sit down. And he would make some other asinine remark, and they'd stand up and applaud. And all the other Republicans. And I started thinking, as I'm looking at these people are extremely well dressed. If you were to take the retail cost of what they're wearing and add it up, it would be more or less my 3 months of my income on Social Security. I am 75 years old, and the only income I have right now is my Social Security retirement benefits, because in the middle of my 26 years of owning a business, I was paying the maximum into the Social Security in my 1040 tax return. And now, at the time when you hit 126,000 a year, you didn't have to pay in anymore. Now you have to hit 176,000 a year and you pay more. You don't have to pay any more. But how many people in the Republican part of the House of Representatives are earning less than 176,000? I don't think there are any. I think that's pretty much lowballing it. And I would like to get some response from this gentleman. I have nothing against him. For all I know, he wants to do the right thing, but he is under pressure to go along to get along, or to go along to get along. He is under pressure to not have his fellow Republicans bite his head off, basically. And I'm really proud of Al Green. He made a display and he was thrown out. And I think that reminds me of the last couple of protest meetings I went to in the early 70s when the war in Vietnam was really heating up. We made a lot of noise and stayed out late. And I'm probably taking too much time now, so I'll stop.
No, I appreciate your perspective and thank you for going to the lengths. It is about bringing people together, and when you're writing your electeds handwritten letters, they should be contacting you back. I think that's just the thoughtful and noble thing to do.
Yeah, I gave you my home address and my phone number.
Yeah.
And I'd rather keep my email address limited. Okay,
Yeah, protect
go
your
on to
data
Dewey.
privacy, please. It was pointed out that the president's incoming cabinet was worth somewhere upwards of 422 billion with a B, and it's the richest cabinet we've ever seen. And it seems in many ways that they are very much disconnected from the needs of their everyday constituents. Who wants to jump in next with a comment or a question for Bob? We want to get as many people as possible, so we're going to ask you to keep your comments between 1 and 2 minutes. So who's next?
Dewey Wells' name is right next to mine,
Let's see here.
but he may not be there.
Yeah, let me try 1 second.
I would like to thank everyone for their time, but I have to leave.
Thank you so much for being here, Ted. And please join us for the next one.
When is the next one, if you mind me asking?
Spencer, do we have a date set? It's coming up soon.
There's an in-person tomorrow in District 2. District 3, I don't know what's next on the calendar. I know there's a lot of District 3 leadership that's on this call that will be able to reach out to you due to your registration.
Could you email me where that is? I can give you my email in the chat if that would be okay.
Yes, please.
Sure. I heard the words in person in there.
Tomorrow's is in person, yes. So tomorrow, there's a town hall being hosted for Ann Wagner, who similarly is not attending. That one is a little different in that her response was a form letter that she appreciated that people would like her to communicate and that she does communicate regularly. So we're going to be hosting that tomorrow in Arnold in person.
What time?
It's from 12 to 3 at the VFW in Arnold.
VFW Arnold. Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
And we are currently planning town halls in Newtown, out here in St. Charles County, out in Columbia, and I believe Crawford County. And I'm sure we will be in person in Cole County soon. Stacy Bax, you have your hand up. We'll go to you.
I just had a question for Bob Onder. I would like to let Bob Onder know that Trump's tariffs are having a damaging effect on lots of small businesses in Missouri, especially with agriculture like the timber business, sawmills, farms, etc. Our business is one of them being affected by the trade war that Trump has created. And I would like to know Onder's stance on Trump's tariffs and if he's okay with all these small businesses possibly having to close because of them. That's all. Thank you.
That is a great question. What type of business do you do?
My husband's in the timber business.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. These cuts have significant impact to our ag producers and small business owners from up and down the supply chain.
Yeah, like the white oak gets sold and makes wine and whiskey barrels. So all the alcohol that's being pulled off the shelves is having an impact.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sorry that you guys are handling that, and we will make sure that we forward those comments on to the congressman. Now, who is next? And we can always take a minute and go to a question. We'll go to a question in the chat after we talk to Nancy. Nancy, hello. Where are you visiting us from today?
Jefferson City. You can hear me and see me okay, right?
I sure can. Welcome.
I'm not good with tech. It took me several minutes to figure out how to raise my hand.
You're here. Thank you. You figured it out.
One of the things that I can speak to personally on some level is about Medicare and Social Security. I am both a recipient of Medicare and Social Security at this point. I am also a mental health professional. So I have, I not only provide mental health services, I do my own billing. And I can say that 25 years experience of doing my own billing, Medicare is reliable and predictable, and they don't make mistakes. And when I have a question about something, I can call on the phone and get somebody in 2 minutes who can answer my question. And I'm very concerned about the downsizing that's happening among those staff, because it's going to make it much more difficult for people to call and get the answers that they need. I'm also concerned about the idea of privatizing Medicare. The Medicare Advantage plans are all run by private insurance companies. I don't know the exact statistics, but the amount of money that Medicare takes in, almost all of it gets paid out in claims for actual people. Their administrative costs are a very small percentage of their actual budget.
If I could talk to Bob Onder, I would say, I know, and you know, this is not about cost cutting. This is not about saving the government. You were as surprised as the rest of us when Elon Musk started chopping everything. You know, this is not about performance. No one has checked anyone's performance reviews. They have admitted in some cases that they've just gone down the list and just picked every third name. You also know that these probationary employees are not new or junior, that every time they get a promotion, they are made probationary. So the bulk of these people that we're losing are very senior and mid-level experienced people. This is detrimental. You know all this, Bob Onder. You don't care. It's obvious you don't care by your vote. You knew this was going to happen, except for the Elon Musk stuff, but you knew the Department of Education was going to get cut. They wrote that down. You knew that a lot of these services, USAID, the consumer protection was going to get cut. You still supported it. Elon Musk came along and surprised you. You don't like what's happening. You didn't plan on what's happening, but here we are, and you're under pressure to go along with it. I think you don't care what a Democrat says to you. We could tell you heartbreaking stories. You don't care. We're paid actors. As for MAGA, when MAGA personally gets affected by this and they turn on you, you still won't care. Every one of these citizens, you don't even live in this district. Every one of us could oppose you. You don't care. It comes down to the donors to you, and it comes down to what Trump and Musk say. So what I would ask you, sir, is to pick now the line that you will not cross, because you are in a case of moral creep. You know, the things that you thought you'd never do, you've already done. So pick the line, sir, that you say, you know what, I will not support Elon Musk if this happens. Is it imprisoning people? Is it imprisoning children? Is it wiping out Social Security? What is the line that you say you will not support this anymore? Because you are on your way to the end. You are going to follow them full on into hell if you don't pick that line now objectively. So get with your family, get with your church, get with your pastor, and pick that line and stick to it. Because I know there's nothing that we can say to change your mind. But anyway, that's kind of what I would say to him if I had the opportunity.
Thank you. It was just so well articulated. I think it very much speaks to what a lot of us are feeling. And, you know, you can hear in everyone's voices the things that we would love to say that it doesn't feel like anyone's listening to. It's absolutely incredible to be a person in this country and recognize that literally nothing we say or do seemingly is making an impact. However, it is. These times where we get together and we have these conversations, it heals us and it brings us together so we can organize outside of virtual settings. And the more we make these calls, we put pressure on them, that we make it clear that they will get primaried by people in their own party who aren't willing to put up with this. And in the meantime, we're going to come out and make sure that we've got great candidates running and we're giving them all the support that we can. That's how we end up, you know, making the change that we're going to need, because this is going to be a long haul. The things that they're breaking now won't be easily fixed. We've got, you know, bulls in the china shop, and I think building community is going to be one of the things that allows us to be heard in our communities as we continue to take back more power nationally and at the state level as well. So thanks for all of that, Pam. Is there someone else who would like to speak? If you're not sure, there's a spot at the bottom that allows you to put up a hand, and literally anything you want to put up or any symbol you want to make, or if you want to put something in the chat. There we go, Stacy. Perfect. I'll go ahead and ask you to unmute, Stacy.
Hello, I'm Stacy Hagan. I am one of Onder's constituents. I appreciate you all for organizing this tonight. I don't know if I'd want to call it privileged enough to be on his town hall. And to say I was disappointed with how he responded to his constituents would be an understatement. I understand that Dr. Onder is a medical doctor. I am a nurse, and I know we take an oath to do no harm, to take care of vulnerable people in our community. And as a nurse, I'm just devastated when I think about all of my neighbors around me, locally and throughout the state, who are going to be negatively impacted by all of these cuts. And I just wonder, as a fellow healthcare professional, how Dr. Onder reconciles his support of all these cuts with the oath he took to do no harm and to protect vulnerable people. Because I'm very troubled by it. I think about, how am I going to be able to be a service to these people? And I look to him, who is supposed to be a partner to me in this profession of health, this healthcare community, and he is a disappointment. So that's my question to him. How can he put money over people? Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Really appreciate all of that. Boy, people are starting to stick their hands up. Scott, would you mind going next? And then we'll have Susan after that. Oh, it's Scott and Susan. It's one person. I'm sorry. Or it's one title. Please feel free to unmute and we'd love to hear from you.
You're good to go. Okay, I'm here. You can you hear me?
Yep, got you loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Scott Randolph of Jefferson City. So Bob, on your teletown hall a few weeks ago, you had fielded a question regarding the importance of public education. And you said that the problem that we have with public education in this country is the federal government. And the federal government has imposed so many costs on the public school system that it's a tremendous burden and a tremendous problem. But you didn't get into any detail concerning what it is that you were talking about. And I just took a look at the budget that we have for the Jefferson City Public School District. And we currently get about $13 million of funding from the federal government. And it doesn't appear to be a lot of administrative fluff. It's early childhood special education needs, school lunch program, school breakfast program, school snack program, fresh fruits and vegetable program, the Title I program that helps support low-income schools, of which we have several here in Jefferson City, and IDA entitlement and grant funds, which help support education for special needs kids. So my question is, which one of these programs are you planning to cut in order to save the country money from public education? Or are you planning to simply cut all of them so that we can know here in Jefferson City what to expect? Just this week, the school board met with its current budget, and because our Governor Kehoe decided that he would not fund public education up to the allowed limit according to the funding formula, then our school district is now carrying a deficit budget. So we could have been in the black, but now we're in the red. And now we're facing additional threats from Washington to cut even more. So I'd like to hear from you as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we're going to make sure that once we get this to Representative Onder, that we continue to follow up on the behalf of everyone who's speaking their mind and making sure that he does hear their voices. So thanks so much for that.
Sure.
Is there someone who would like to speak next? Well, while y'all are thinking about it, something that just haunts me every day and night is that when this election took place, we were told that this was about issues with common sense, bringing down the cost of eggs, getting rid of inflation. They were going to make it was going to be so prosperous that everyone was going to have more than they could ever need, and somehow we ended up in a position where that hasn't been a priority at all. It could very easily be recognized as a priority if any of the actions being taken were putting more money in people's pockets. But what we're seeing is people getting laid off. We're seeing people going on unemployment, which is again another technically burden to society, and we're paying people to not work. We're keeping the cost of everything high. We've made enemies out of all of our allies. We lost trust in the international community. I don't know what's going to happen going forward with our European allies, who were the core of the strength of America, was our ally base. We're on the other side of all of it. And while I'm not Representative Onder's constituent, I am a constituent of this country, and the decisions that he's making are affecting me, my family, my children. And I couldn't be more distraught by the lack of any backbone by any of the representatives who continue just to toe the party line, which has changed. This wasn't the party line. This isn't what any of them ran on. This isn't what anyone ran on. I don't think anyone would have been elected if they said, we're going to literally dismantle the government and break it down piece by piece, making it so our parks had toilets that weren't being cleaned, and our libraries had to stay closed with lack of funding, and our, and kids would go hungry. And to Pam's point earlier, when does it end? What's the thing that is going to be too much? Is it cutting Medicaid? Because it doesn't seem like that's going to stop them. Is it, is it cutting Social Security? I mean, what does it look like? And what is our path to make sure that eventually happens and we are able to take that power back? So I'm going to go ahead and ask Kelly to go ahead and unmute themselves.
Hi, my name's Kelly and I'm in St. Charles, Missouri. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Kelly,
thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Basically, I mean, I'm very concerned about everything that is going on. But for me personally, my husband had an accident a few years ago and became a quadriplegic. We had private insurance at that time, which we had to fight tooth and nail to get our claims even paid. We are both retired. I just now started getting my Social Security. He's on Medicare. And if we had a fairly decent retirement until he had this accident. And if he didn't have if we both didn't have our Social Security and his Medicare, I don't know what we are going to do. Like Nancy had said, Medicare just works. I mean, we know what's going to be covered, it gets paid, and it's done. And I can't even go back to work because I'm his full-time caregiver. So he has to have somebody here with him. And so personally, that's one of my biggest concerns is the Medicare and the Social Security. But I could go on forever with all of my other concerns about LGBTQ, family members and friends, and I mean, just everything. But personally, that's my one biggest fear. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Can I just ask before you step aside?
Sure.
Is there anything that you've been able to do where you felt that someone was listening, where a member of Congress, a member of the community, where you've seen an opportunity to make your voice heard?
No, I was on the phone call with Bob Onder that evening too, and that was just a few people calling in, and that was it. I have called all of our representatives' offices every week, and when I call Bob Onder's office, I do get a staff member who's very polite, but then he starts throwing back the typical argument that they have to cut the waste and fraud and things like that. But they had IGs to do that, and they got rid of them. So no, I don't feel like anything's getting heard.
Well, I'm very sorry. Thank you for sharing so much with us today. It means a lot that you felt so comfortable and had an opportunity for us to hear from you. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties, folks. With the Midwestern storm, it knocked out my internet. So I am relying on a phone line. Thank you, Kelly, for what you mentioned. I mean, the American dream shouldn't be that you work really hard and just really, really hope that your benefits are there at the end of your career, like they were promised and like you paid into. And at the very least, your representatives who are in charge of putting together the budgets for these programs need to make sure that they are protecting and preserving these programs, not cutting them and referring to constituents as waste. It's very embarrassing. So next person who has a message for the congressman or who has something that they want to speak up about. Okay, I have a comment here from a Charlotte. It says, Bob Onder, I am a constituent. Your proposed budget will affect all aspects of my life and many others. I am 74 and I still work, and many of my clients are on Medicaid. Both my husband and I receive Social Security, and Medicare is our only insurance. We have worked and paid into Social Security for 50 years, and I am entitled to what I have paid for. Absolutely right. Thank you for sharing that, Charlotte. And are you guys still hearing me okay? Pat, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. Where are you calling from today?
Columbia, Missouri.
Welcome.
Yeah,
And thanks for having this. This is really great. I was also on that teleconference thing with Bob Onder and was kind of, well, it was stupid. It was a waste because they only take who they want to take the questions from and then answers that isn't right. But I just wanted to just make a comment about Social Security and all the whining about there's not money in it. Is if they would raise the cap, like when you pay into Social Security, you only pay in up to a certain amount of your income, and then you don't have to pay anymore. Well, I had to pay in every cent of mine, but people that make so very much money, they don't have to pay in after a while. And I think if they would raise the cap on that, it would be very, very helpful to Medicare. And we seem to be having a thunder now. We've had wind and rain, and now we're having thunder. Just give you a little weather report.
Thank you. Now be safe and monitor those weather reports. If you need this party down to the basement or a safe place, we will do our best. We all know about the challenges with the internet in Missouri.
Yeah, and I also want to remind everybody that tomorrow there's a demonstration or a rally, whatever it's called, at Hawley and Schmidt's office. It's somewhere near Fay Street. We won't just Google it. And then the following week, it'll be back over at the other, well, I don't know the guy's name, because the center of Columbia doesn't have Bob Onder. They have another guy. So anyway,
you guys have Mark on.
Yeah, so check your Facebook or Google and join everybody in their demonstrations. That's all. Have a good day and thanks for doing this.
Yes, no, thank you so much for your thoughts. All right, who has another comment or a question for the congressman? Oh, Vicki. Hi, Vicki.
Hello, I'm going to stay off camera so that the lightning doesn't interfere with my internet and I can hopefully stay on. There are really a multitude of issues that I'm concerned with. I retired last year after working about 40 years in the disability field, and it seems that all of the cuts are really impacting people that really don't have a chance to, well, there are more people with disabilities, but it seems like people in office listen more to money than to individuals who have to rely on these programs, such as Medicaid, SNAP benefits, Medicare, disability, Social Security, disability, SSI, those types of programs. And I would really like to know, especially since our congressman is a doctor, how can he justify cutting those programs that people rely on to live, knowing that some of his constituents, if they don't have those programs, they will likely die. Not everyone, but there are a lot of people who will die. As a doctor, how can he justify not raising taxes for those billionaires? I was reading something earlier today that Musk, who is an unelected official, not even really an official, he hasn't been confirmed to do anything. The members of Congress are abdicating their constitutional duties and letting somebody else make decisions that they should be making that are going to harm people. But he has received billions from the government, billions, and has paid $0 in taxes. So how can he justify that there will be people who are his constituents who will die because they will lose these programs? The other piece is a little bit more personal. I have an adult daughter with autism, and she does not have a work history. And I, as a state worker for most of my life, I have not saved up a whole lot because I was a state worker, single mom, but I've been doing the best that I can to leave some money for her to help her when it is my time to pass. And I am watching my IRAs tank. And my daughter does not receive these services because they have labeled her as too high functioning. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve to have a quality life. And watching my IRAs tank, and then I've not collected on Social Security yet. I'm trying to wait until it will be raised so that I can maximize what I leave to my daughter. It's really concerning that Social Security will be cut as well. And I'm going to go ahead and get off because I'm going to start crying if I don't. But those are the issues that are concerning to me.
Thank you very much, story.
Bethany, we're having a little trouble
I
hearing
have
you.
a kiddo, especially.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Vicky. That was it just made me cry too. So I'm gonna move on and ask Sue to go ahead and unmute herself, and then Sarah will come on after that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear all these stories too. It's part of what I have to calm myself down from later. But I've been calling Holly Schmidt, Onder's office. Somebody does typically answer the phone, but I've not gotten any answers about it. There are 1.3 million people in Missouri that are on Medicare. Over 1.4 million are on Medicaid, and there's over 370,000 veterans that use services, and that's just veterans overall. So calling them, and I've been asking for actions. It's like, tell me what you're doing for your constituents in Missouri. Not getting any answers, but I think we need to keep hammering at them about what is it you're doing to uphold the oath of office that you took to take care of the people in Missouri. And the representative for Columbia that has the same position is Alford, is the U.S. rep in Columbia, and Onder is for our area down here around Ashland, Hartsburg. But anyway, I'm with you all the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. You want to go ahead and unmute yourself? Thank you, Sue.
Hi, yeah. I obviously am worried about all the things everybody's talking about, and I just want to say to Representative Onder that it's ridiculous that he has voted for this tax cut for the ultra wealthy when we need to create a wealth tax here in this country because the wealthy do not pay taxes and they're eating the middle class. And just the cuts to these benefits that will literally cost lives is just insane and a stain on this state and on his office. And if you go to his Twitter account, you see that he supports all of the things that the MAGA party essentially is touting. So he's anti-aid to Ukraine, he's anti-trans, he is retweeting Matt Walsh and Charlie Kirk and things like that, and don't appreciate it. And he does not represent me very well, because none of those things are things I stand for. And I am calling his office as often as I can, along with the senators. And yeah, thank you guys so much for holding this meeting. I was hoping that we would do some sort of in-person thing with that cardboard cutout, but really, really happy that this happened. So I'm grateful to be here.
Oh, it's coming in. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Is my audio
Kelly, are you
all
looking?
right, Spencer?
Yeah, we can't see you well, but you're coming in and out, and the Onder cutout is for rent. Got to pay bills too. So if you ever need, something if you ever need him for an event, there's a guarantee he'll show up. Thank you for that, Sarah. Sentiments that I think we all share. Can I ask, with the calls that you've made to Representative Onder's office, what kind of a response have you gotten from the people who work there or from his office at all? Have you gotten any responses?
Several of my messages I've asked for a written response and I've not received anything. I've always leave voicemails, so I usually call outside of business hours, just because of my availability and things like that. But I've not received any response. I do get his emails, which go directly to my junk folder, and I have to search for them. And I try to give him feedback on that, to let him know I'm not happy with the things he's doing. But I've not gotten any real response that's measurable. So.
Thank you. We've got a comment in the chat. Linda Smith said, I would ask Bob Onder why it is that he and his Republican colleagues abdicated the power to push back on Trump's tariffs and instead voted to collapse the entire session into one day so that no vote came to the floor. It's a great question. Madeline said, usually when I call, I get we'll pass on the message for you to him. That sounds about in line with what I've gotten when I've called my representatives as well. Thank you for that. Stacy, love to hear from you.
I just wanted to comment about responses. In general, I've had very pleasant conversations, but there have been times where I've never spoken with him, always with his staff. And there have been times when they've seemed frustrated. Like an example is they were supposed to get back to me, send me an email with information about the Tele Town Hall. And here I am Wednesday. It was supposed to happen that evening. I'm calling them back. I don't have anything yet. And they, they seemed very frustrated that I kept calling. And what I would say to Dr. Onder is, sir, you work for us. It's actually quite frustrating that I have had to devote so much of my time to watch what you all are doing because you are not doing things that benefit your constituents. And so time that I could be spending with my family doing things that I enjoy, that time has been absorbed with trying to keep up with what's going on in the federal and state government and trying to get responses from you all. So I really don't care that they're frustrated. They wouldn't be frustrated if they would do what we're asking them to do, if they would do their jobs. If there's any government waste right now, I would say it is our representatives because they are not doing their jobs.
Thank you so much. Again, everyone here is just like saying everything that I think we've all been feeling over and over and over again so well as we've been bottling it up. Pam, would you mind unmuting yourself if you haven't already?
Yep, I have. There we go. I want to put you on the spot for a moment, Spencer and Bethany. I've noticed a lot of people calling, and we do need to do that, I know. But I had heard that it is sometimes better, or in addition to that, is to write a letter or to fax, that those two things have to be logged. Is that true? Should we be writing and faxing more than calling? What would you recommend?
And so I've been on a lot of calls around the country about this. And if you talk to people in the offices, they tend to say that the written word ends up getting processed better because most of these things don't go in front of the Congress people regardless. It is handled by a staff member. And if it's written, it has to be filed. If it's verbal, then it's someone taking a note. Hopefully that gets to the next step. So you're adding kind of another step there. The short answer is we need to be doing all of it. And obviously with the tremendous outpouring, we've seen cracks in the armor where there have been some statements where people have said, I didn't really feel comfortable with this thing that was done. Now it's nothing that's changed any of the positions, but the more and more we do it, I do think it's having an impact. Additionally, and I just want to kind of speak to this, and there's folks who are on this call that weren't here at the beginning. So one of my responsibilities I'm the co-founder of Be Heard Missouri and the founder of the Be Heard PAC. And both of those organizations are working to help make voices heard across the country. And we're doing it with things like these types of actions and other types of actions that everything from asking people to collect signatures to running ballot initiatives to really anything you can imagine that is action oriented. And so I'll put it back in the chat a few more times this evening, but we would love for folks to help organize with us. I think there's so much we can do, and we are so much, our voices are significantly louder and harder to ignore when they're together. So, thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead. I think, Bethany was asking me to let back in. She must have been disconnected, so she probably didn't hear that question. But generally speaking, I would say that written is more likely to be documented. All of it is helpful. I actually think that it goes a long way if you're having a real conversation with one of the people in the offices. They deserve to hear how people are feeling about the person they work for. And, ideally they would make different choices and not do that. Then again, it's a job, and I understand where people are coming from right now. I don't think that I could go and take that job, but the more you have to have a conversation with them, the better. Sarah pointed out, if you give them your zip code and address, they have to tally your phone call. So that would just be the one thing to make sure you add. Thanks for that. That's really helpful. I'd love to hear from some more folks. We've been going a little over an hour now, and I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to have their voices heard. But I think that what you'll find is the amount of organizing that's currently being planned is substantial. It's something that I haven't seen in my lifetime in Missouri, born and raised here, and I think that we need to keep it up. We need to definitely put our foot on the gas and just keep it going, because the alternative is miserable, and we are powerful together. I've got Sue Rogers' hand raised. Sue, would you like to unmute yourself?
Yes, I was just going to say, keep in mind that Onder's office is only for 2 years. He has to have us vote again in January. He's out of office in January 27 unless he gets reelected. The senators are a different story. They have a much longer term of office, but the representatives turn over every couple of years if we're voting.
Absolutely. And the organizing has to start now. It has to have already started. Yep. So I agree with you completely. Yeah.
The other thing I was just going to point out when talking with the Democratic Central Committee about going to rallies and things like that, they're starting to try to say, well, the protesters are being paid. So don't wear a T-shirt that states an organization on it. Be a private citizen if you're going to rally in front of their offices and stuff, so they can't say it was some group that did this. Just a hint.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think it's also important to note that what happens after the rally is as important as what happens at the rally. And so please find your local groups, find folks who are organizing, knock doors with them, phone bank with them, learn how to have conversations with people that are hard to have. There's a lot of organizing that will do that. And that next step is really the thing that's going to help shift the tides here. Is there
can you guys hear me a little better? I have the internet back. I think we're okay with audio.
Sorry, Bethany, I couldn't see you on the screen. I wasn't even sure if you were there.
No, it's okay. Thank you guys. Sorry, storm internet, happy to hear from anybody else who has some comments. One of the things that I am encouraging people right now to do is to check in on your neighbors. I will be upfront and let you know that some of the financial stuff we've seen these past couple of weeks have been a little scary. So I'm telling folks to just be prepared and check in on each other. One thing we're doing around the neighborhood is reaching out to our neighbors, and we're saying, hey, I'm a little concerned about the increase in prices and medicine and some of the economic uncertainties. On Wednesdays, my family makes a little extra chili. You're welcome to just come over. It helps you identify which of your neighbors might be in some need, some neighbors who might feel a little isolated. And it also helps you identify some of the people who may not be your friends if things turn sideways. But the idea is to bring people together and to be that change that you want to see. And relational organizing is how we break down those barriers to really move the needle as far as civic engagement and turning things on a better course here in the state, because we do have the wonderful opportunity not just to run against something, but we can run towards the future and the society that we want to have. we're valuing and protecting our students and our education system and our Medicare and Social Security and those essential social net programs that you all have said today how important they are to you and your families. So we can grow together, and that's what we're doing. So who has something else to share?
There are some names on here of some very opinionated people that I am very confident have something to say and they haven't said it yet.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Dewey. He says, thank you for having a town hall that's conversational and actually lasting the whole hour. Yeah, I joined the Bob Onder Teletown Hall. I actually did not get an invitation. I found out through Facebook. I'm on his mailing list, but I didn't get the email. I still showed up, and I rang through to ask questions twice, and their staff knew who I was and just kept throwing me in the cycle. So as soon as they heard that Bethany from St. Peter's wanted to ask about First Amendment protections and the free press, they didn't want to talk much to me.
This is Sue. I haven't figured out how to raise my hand.
Oh, well, wonderful, Sue. Hello.
Hi, I just want to say that over the next few years, MAGA leaders will launch attack after attack, perpetuate outrage after outrage, commit injustice after injustice, with the goal of keeping us disoriented, demoralized, and demobilized. And Bob Onder will stand by and cheer them on. We are people of all races, genders, and backgrounds who value our freedoms. They are a handful of billionaires and scammers trying to take away our freedoms and permanently rig the rules so that wealthy white men control all who do not look, live, or love like them. By joining together, Black, white, and brown, Native and newcomer, transgender and not, the many can and will defeat the money, and finally, make this a country where liberty and justice are for all, no exceptions. Thanks.
Those are such beautiful words, Sue. I love your letters to the editor. I love your spirit, and thank you for being our conscience and our spirit today. Thank you so much.
Well, I can't imagine much better of a way to go out than that if if there aren't other comments to be made. Is there anyone else who would like to speak prior to that? If not, I'll ask Bethany to say some closing statements, and I'll finish up telling you a little bit more about the organizations and what we're doing.
Really quick, I wanted to just shout out, I put a link for resist.bot that has like a little way to fax or mail or email for free letters that you write to your congresspeople. And you could do more than just Bob Onder, but you could do your senators and more than that. So
Awesome. Thank you. Bethany, did you have anything you wanted to say before? Oh, Don Looney Jr. raises his hand.
Oh yeah, Don Looney. Hello, Don.
There we go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me lower my hand here. First of all, thank you for hosting this town hall, Spencer, Bethany. It's beautiful to see this many of us all together in the same place at the same time, feeling the same things and sharing the same thoughts. For those who don't know, I chair a little organization out in St. Charles that people don't think exists. It's the Democratic Central Committee. And we are currently organizing and mobilizing and preparing to hold the fort because, you know, Missouri, our state legislature has supermajority, and you can see what's going on the national level. So it doesn't look like much help is coming. We're going to have to save ourselves. I'm going to put an email address in the chat, and anyone who would like to be involved with those efforts, because what we do is support great candidates like Bethany and a host of others in their, excuse me, in their endeavors to run for office and stand up for everyone, you know, not just our wealthy donors and rich buddies. So yeah, I'm going to put that in the chat, and I would appreciate it if anyone who was interested in continuing to organize and take action, would reach out, because we're coming up with a plan. Like, everyone wants us to fight. Everyone's saying the party's not fighting. What are the Democrats standing up for? Well, we have to have a plan. We have to have a strategy. And we have to be in a position to where we can make the kind of changes that we want to see. And we're going to need participation from every little face and every little box that we see on this Zoom call here. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the turnout, all the registration. I think we're at about 50 people. It's been up to about 60. So yeah, let's get to work. And again, thank you, Spencer and Bethany, for hosting this town hall. I want to end with a question for Bob, because that seems to be the theme here today. Hey, Bob, you probably don't remember me, but when you were in the state legislature, we had a great conversation about unions and dues and things of that nature. And you told me that you stand isometrically opposed to all of those things. Well, the people of Missouri voted overwhelmingly, 58%, to raise the minimum wage. And your buddies back here are trying to undo that by taking the sick days out of Prop A. We don't like it. And we really wish we would make different choices. Otherwise, all these folks here you see on these boxes here are going to come together and just going to get you out of office, you and all your buddies. So thank you for your time. I'm going to end it there.
That's a great way to end it on you and the heroes over at UAW 2250 in Wentzville. You show us how it's done, and standing up for everyone. As we stand up for each other, we're standing up for other workers. Your union is your colleagues. And we're so thankful for the example you set. When we were recovering from COVID, when our economy was just getting its legs out from, out from, or get its sea legs. I messed up. I mess up the analogy sometimes, you guys be patient. But after our economy was rebounding from COVID, our UAW brothers and sisters put themselves on the line and went on strike to make sure that the American worker was counted when we were rebuilding our economy. So I just want to thank you for your leadership and your example, and everybody out there at 2250. You guys really do lift all boats. And just in closing, I want to say that our democracy works better when our elected officials show up. Bob is noticeably absent from town halls, just like he was notably absent from any election debates, just like his predecessor would only do scripted town halls where there was a tape delay and his staffers could interrupt you and cut you off if they didn't like your comments or didn't agree with you or thought that what you were saying was going to make them look bad. We demand better from our leaders, and as we continue to organize and come together, we build power and momentum so that people who don't show up for their constituency just don't have those jobs. So maybe we should trim a little fat from a congressman who will give all of his power over to the executive branch. I think there is a misbalance, or there is a balance of power that we need to restore to our American Republic, but it needs brave leaders and organizers, and that is all of us. So if you are in this call, I just hope that you come away with a couple of action items. One, make sure that you get plugged in. Spencer's platform, Constituent Connection, is a great way to organize and mobilize and find some of your folks. Find me at BethanyManForCongress.com and some of the socials. We're going to be hosting town halls. We did receive some notification today, some good news on a Friday, that the DCCC under Ken Martin at the DNC, he has announced that the Democrats are going to be doing 50 town halls in 50 states, and they will specifically be targeting rural red districts that have been historically abandoned by the party. So we are trying to do whatever we can to bring bigger names to town hall events near you. So keep it up, share things on social media, but most importantly, stay connected. The American dream should be for all of us. It shouldn't just be for millionaires and billionaires. Nobody, not even some of our Republican friends, I don't think, voted for oligarchs and unelected tech guys to be running the show. So make your voice count. Call your Congress people, send them letters, show up at town hall events, but most importantly, stay connected. So if you need anything at all, reach out. I stay accessible and available, and we'll be back doing this soon. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Bob really misses out when he misses the chance to connect and hear from you. And thank you all for sharing your stories. And it is through our stories and sharing our stories that we reclaim our power, and we will continue to build power until we swing the momentum, at least make Missouri a little bit of a purple state. Thank you all for your time. We thank the congressman and look forward to his comments and responses back to constituents who want to hear from him. We want to see a functioning office out of Missouri's 3rd congressional district. So that's what I have to say. Spencer?
Thank you, Bethany. Sorry for being grainy. I didn't go turn the lights on while it's gotten darker. So the computer's trying to figure out how to make this work. No, I think one of the things that I really want to focus on as people leave a meeting like this is that this is a stepping stone to much, much more activation. If you have ideas for things that you want to see in the community, whether it be in your district, in the state, national efforts, Be Heard PAC is about making your voices heard. And we are putting together resources to take action both across the state as well as across the country. And so that only happens with good ideas. And those ideas come from people who have been impacted. This town hall, the town hall that we have scheduled for tomorrow for Ann Wagner, that town hall in person has 460 people registered in person right now. I just checked the count. And thinking about taking those people, these people, the people in the event we're holding in Platte County, the other events that are around the state, and bringing people together as one, all of a sudden we're not a bunch of people who are alone whose voices aren't being heard. We're a formidable force that can't be stopped. And I would hope that people could come away from this call and recognize that while this was an effort to ensure that voices are being heard in regards to Representative Onder, voices aren't being heard anywhere. You are not alone. You are one of all of us. And this isn't a Republican versus Democrat thing. I very much hope that there were some Republicans on this call tonight who made their voices heard as well, because this is a subscribing to the will of billionaires and taking our voices away thing. And we need to get away from any type of rhetoric or language that divides us any further, because this has nothing to do with anything that has been imposed upon us as to why we should be divided. This is 100% the ultra wealthy and everyone else. And so as you go out and have conversations with your friends and you make sure that your voice is being heard, I ask that you take that into account and recognize that this is the time for us to build coalitions, because people who haven't been disenfranchised in a very long time are being disenfranchised right now. And now is the time to bring them into the fold and to activate them and to show them that what you believe in, which is a representative government that listens to you, is what we deserve, and that we all deserve for our voices to be heard. So thank you all for coming on board today. I'm Spencer Toder. Please reach out. I'm very accessible in just about any venue you could possibly find me. I guarantee you know 10 people who have my phone number if you don't already. And we hope to continue doing this work. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support for this event. And we're looking forward to what's next. We'll do it together. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon, guys.
Thank you.